had exposure to popular end time ministries on the internet or on television, you know what they teach about the temple in Revelation chapter 11. John is told to measure the sanctuary structure, but to not measure the courtyard. And we're often told by these prophecy experts that this refers to a temple that will be built in the future on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, and that it will be desecrated by the Antichrist. Now, just comparing a few different passages in the book of Revelation, I'm going to show you why this is wrong and why it is correct in Revelation, as in other New Testament books, to understand the church as God's end-time temple. Let's start with the address to the Philadelphians in Revelation 3:12. Jesus says, "The one who conquers, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God." Now notice that to be in the temple is good. And then he says he will not go out of it anymore. Now this is interesting, right? To be inside the structure is good. To be outside the structure is bad. Well, where else does this logic appear? Well, it appears at our text in Revelation 11. John is told, "Rise and measure the temple of God and the altar and those who worship there, but do not measure the court outside the temple. Leave that out, for it is given over to the nations, and they will trample the holy city for 42 months." Now, it's interesting that Greek scholars, New Testament scholars, those who write academic commentaries on the book of Revelation, they basically have a consensus about what this means, in part because they're comparing these two passages. They don't at all think, as folks in the end times community tend to think, that this is a literal temple that's going to be built in Jerusalem later. And one of the reasons is we see in Revelation 3 that the temple is the church. To be in the temple is good, and the area outside is bad. And what is usually understood to be communicated here is that the church is measured in the sense that we are spiritually safe, right? We have eternal life. However, we are vulnerable to persecution in this age, and that's what it means for the courtyard to be trampled down. Now, why do people say that? Well, for a couple of different reasons. One, in the prophets, measurement of Jerusalem or the temple means that it's marked out to be safe. At the beginning of Zechariah chapter 2, an angel comes with a measuring line, measures the city, and we're told that the meaning of the measurement is God will be a wall of fire to protect the city. Ezekiel's temple, at the end of his book, it's measured to indicate its safety from defilement. And so John is here acting in the same tradition of the prophets. The building represents the spiritual safety of the church. It is measured, and the courtyard represents our vulnerability to violence and persecution in this age. That's why it goes on to talk about the trampling. And when you get to New Jerusalem at the end of the book, in eternity, the church is no longer persecuted. And so what happens? Well, the whole city gets measured, right? Measure the city and its gates and walls. Finally, the entire thing is measured because the church will be completely safe in every way. In fact, it's soon right after this measurement that we're told that the gates will never be shut, and the safety of the city is emphasized. Now, the end times ministry people, in order to make their theory work, they will isolate Revelation 11 and not refer to these two other passages. I've seen this happen time and time again. But that is not how you read the book of Revelation. It is an intratextual book. In order to understand what it means, you have to connect its various pieces together. If in Revelation 3, the church is a temple where it's safe inside and unsafe outside, and then you get to a temple in Revelation 11 where it's safe inside and unsafe outside, well, that's the same thing as in Revelation 3. And undeniably, in Revelation 3, the temple refers to the church. And then in Revelation 21, we are now in eternity. There is no persecution, and so the whole thing gets measured. Now look, I understand how interested people are in the politics of the Middle East. I'm interested in them as well. But you cannot superimpose your interests onto the Bible. The book of Revelation, from start to last, is a book about the faithful witnessing and suffering of the church. Revelation 2:11 says to be faithful even to the point of death, and I will give you a crown of life. This book is not about the Jewish people. It is not about the modern state of Israel. It is about the martyrs of Jesus Christ. And this scene here in Revelation 11 is no different.